On this episode of RC Kicks, we're doing a detailed build of this, the CC-02 chassis with the Unimog body. So stay tuned, it's a good one. Hi, welcome to RC Kicks. On today's show, well, we're going to build a brand new kit that's just been released from Tamiya. That's the Unimog on a CC-02 chassis. Now, if you haven't seen the unbuilding video for this, I'll put a link up here. Go check that out and then come back to this point. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to lay it all out first and then we're going to crack on. I really love this chassis, so I'm looking forward to building this one up. So, let's crack on. Now I'm lucky the new studio layout is fantastic and I have more workspace than before. Now if you're going to be building a kit, I highly recommend you use a big open space on a table if possible. Don't do it on the floor where the carpet is, otherwise you'll lose screws and washers. Right, we're all ready to go. I've opened up bag A and got to dig out the bearings to replace the plastic bushes, but we kick off on page 4, number 2, where we're building the main gearbox. So, it's not going to do itself, is it? Let's get it done. Now it kind of goes without saying, but you definitely want to be adding bearings to this kit. You're looking at part number 54910 and that will be the Tamiya brand, but obviously you can shop around as there's lots of other vendors selling bearings. Now one thing you will notice about this gearbox when you're putting it together, there's lots of MA13 pins that actually hold the gears in place. Now when you're assembling the gearbox, make sure these pins don't drop out. Now if you're looking to throw some money at this kit, some upgrades you can go for. One of them is the CC-02 aluminium spur gear mount. This is part 54970 and you're looking at £15 plus shipping. Now as this is going to be a shelf queen, I stuck with the silver can motor, but obviously you can upgrade to a better crawler motor. Just shop around, there's lots of them around. One that I'm a massive fan of is the Hobbywing Fusion, where that's the ESC and motor all mounted together. I have that in my driving CC-02 and I love it. Now be careful in page 6 number 8, there's two mistakes I made here. The first one was when I put in the E4. If you notice, you've got MA3 screws, which is 3x10. There's two of those, and then there's one MB5 3x15. Make sure you put the correct ones in. Also, the battery stay attaches to the E6 main chassis part. Now it can go into 3 different locations to set the wheelbase. make sure you put it in the middle one, as I didn't, and I had to undo it and do it again. Another upgrade that you might want to look into is the CC-02 motor mount bridge spacer, part number 54971, £22. Now on page 7, number 10, you'll be setting up the servo mount. Now the default mount is to have it horizontally, but you can also have it vertically in an upright position if you choose. That can be found at the bottom of page 7. Now, if you're on Facebook, go and check out the RC Kicks Facebook group. There's over 4,500 friendly people over there all talking about RC. Now, one upgrade I have done myself to my running CC-02 is I upgraded to CR-01 carbon steel prop shafts. Now, I can recommend them, but they're a bit expensive at almost £30 each, and you need 2. Now, these are part 54112. Do shop around, as obviously this is quite an expensive upgrade. Now, if you really want to push the boat out, you can upgrade the aluminium arm pivots. Now you need 2 sets of these, and they're part number 54944, and you're looking at £30 for 2. So obviously you need 4, so again, another expensive upgrade, but we all love a bit of bling, right? Right, this is how far we've got to, and yes, it's starting to resemble the chassis of a 4x4. Now, yes, there was a few mistakes, mainly using the wrong length screws or the wrong length bolts. This kit has quite a lot of different sizes for different parts, so just pay a bit of attention, don't slack off like me. Definitely double check them as you're fitting them. Luckily, there isn't a way that you can actually damage the kit if you use the wrong length, unless obviously you go stupid. But just get it right, because obviously you'll use them in certain places, then you realise you don't have the right ones. That's the telltale sign you've used the wrong length, which I did a couple of times. Another thing to watch out for is this chassis. You can set the wheelbase with this chassis by this back plate moving forward and backwards, and there's different positions. I put that in the wrong position. I put it in the longest wheelbase position. It should be in the middle. This kit seems to use everything in the middle section. The only other thing which is a little bit weird on this kit, which I remember from the last one, there's lots of captive nuts, and then there's these little square plates that you put the captive nut in that then fit into here. You're supposed to glue them down. I used a little bit of super glue to put them into place. It's just a bit different. You don't normally see that kind of thing on another kit from Tamiya. Well, I haven't anyway. There's a lot of captive nuts that just drop into different places, and then you've got to put a daub of glue on the top of them. Yeah, you can get away with not putting glue on them, but a little daub of super glue seems to work for me. Hey, do what works best for you. Inside the gearbox, there is 2 captive nuts. Make sure you put those in before you put it together. Also, getting the gearbox into the actual chassis takes a bit of wobbling around a little bit to get it nice and flush in here. but it's not that difficult. Right, now we move on to page 10, number 18, where we're building up the diffs. Now the diffs in this are all metal, which is really nice, and they're not super complicated, quite easy to do. So let's crack on and get it done. Now we get to page 10, number 18. Now you can decide whether you want to have your diffs locked or unlocked. If you're driving on the road or just very fine gravel, then maybe you want to leave them unlocked. If you're going to go proper off-roading, proper trail riding, you might want to lock your diffs. Now you can use the included C7 parts, which go into the diffs and lock them solid. The choice is yours. Now, if you're going to be pushing your CC-02 quite hard, you may want to upgrade your drive shafts. Well, there's a front and rear drive shaft set that you can get. The rears are part 54978 and retail for £13.15. Now on page 11, number 21, you have to fit C15A, C16B, and then C17C and C18D. Make sure you get these on the right side of the axle. Otherwise, like me, you'll be removing them and swapping them around. Now you can upgrade your CC-02 front drive shafts to universal shafts, part number 54984. These are £40. Shop around. Now, when I first saw this CC-02 coming out from Tamiya, one thing that concerned me a lot was the suspension. Now, these are standard Tamiya shocks, and normally they tend to be a little bit hard, which would be no good for this trail truck. But actually, they do a pretty decent job. Now, if you've got loads of money you want to throw at your rig, you can upgrade the CC-02 to aluminium dampers. You're looking at part number 54991, but they are about £70 as I found them today in the UK. One upgrade that's definitely worth doing and is good value for money is the clamp aluminium wheel hubs. These are part number 53823 and you're looking at £13. But the benefits are fantastic. When you remove your wheels and tyres, they do not fall off and the pins do not drop out. So it's definitely worth investing in a set of these. This chassis done? Well, apart from the servos missing. Why? Well, in true form, I've run out. almost running out of one or the other. If it's not the ESC, it's the receiver. If it's not the receiver, it's the servo. But I will order some more today, and hopefully it will come in the next few days. I can always borrow one from another car, so it's not the end of the world. Luckily, this chassis is easy to put electronics in and out of, so putting a different steering servo in is really easy. You just got to remove the bumper with 2 screws and away you go. This is pretty much the servo saver here waiting to go. I've got to cut these down, but first we've got to build the body. So there you go. Right, the body is next. This is going to be fun. It doesn't look that difficult to cut out because basically you've only got 2 massive arches at the front, and then you've got another set, which these are what go on the side, and you spray those a different color. So it shouldn't be that difficult at all. So that's what we're going to do next. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.